How is everybody? I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas season. I know we're in that weird space between New Year's and between Christmas and New Year's. So we are kind of like right in the throes of the tail end of the holiday season. We had Christmas here at our home and we stayed up super late, did a camp out in the living room. Last night we went up to my mother-in-law's. Earlier in the afternoon we went and saw an off-Broadway presentation of The Wizard of Oz at this really great theater near us that is off-Broadway, award-winning, oldest not-for-profit theater, and they just do phenomenal productions. So that was a lot of fun. Then we went up, we did Christmas up there, played a few games, and came home. So I did a changing video earlier with Niklaus and with Charlie. I posted that. We did just a quiet changing set to music. Everybody in the house was sleeping, so I thought I would just share some of the movement of the babies and the pretty sculpts that they are. And it was a little bit different for someone who just wants to look at the babies and doesn't want to listen to me talk. So I'm here with Sparrow. She's sitting in this rocking swing. I love her in this outfit. The hat and the pants are from H&M and the onesie is from Janie and Jack. And as with pretty much everything she's been in, I think I could keep her in this long term. But I do also love to change her. So I'm going to change her and probably just have an informal chat. I'm going to put her into this onesie that Tasha sent her. Tasha at Pixie Mommy's Reborns. It says Smart and Sassy in purple and teal with little sparkly silver hearts. It's a long sleeve onesie, so we're going to see how that goes. And I think because it's a rainy, dreary day, we'll put her over that. We're going to put her in this pink sweatsuit. H&M. Yeah, you can. H&M likes to do these roll top pants. You can see that here. So we'll see how we do changing her in this chair. So I was thinking about sort of the impression that I had when people were able to collect multiple dolls when I was first starting out and sort of agonizing over spending $200 on a doll, and kind of mixing that with the greater number of people that ask for free dolls, the more subscribers that you have. And a lot of people have had a lot of reactions to those kinds of requests and stuff. And I was kind of going through it in my mind, what do I think about that? And, does that offend me? Do I think, is it outrageous? And of course, I think it's outrageous to think that someone's just going to give you a doll. And I think my favorite explanation of that ever, sort of drawing an analogy to show what that really is like to ask that of somebody, is Tasha has made a couple of videos on the subject, and she talked about, if you saw somebody in a video with a beautiful diamond ring, would you write to them and tell them, please give me this ring, I've had tough times, I can't afford it, but I promise I'll take really good care of this ring and you can mail it to my house. And when you put it in that perspective, it's so different. It seems like more blatantly silly, I guess. She puts it really much better than I have in my brief little recap. But so anyway, I was thinking about that. What was my impression when I first started collecting and I was still sort of realizing the expense of the hobby and how much these pieces of art can cost. And that the idea of what's expensive in the beginning changes very quickly when you start to get into it and realize what is out there. And I wonder, do you get the impression that people who have multiple dolls you know, must be very wealthy, have a lot of money. Is that where that request to just be given something, you know, oh, well, they have many dolls, obviously, they can't possibly all mean that much, and, you know, they can just buy another one because they have this money that I don't have. And I would say, yeah, I probably had the assumption or the impression that the people who were able to collect multiple dolls, you know, must have much greater means than I did, and that I never expected anybody to give me a doll, we'll just say that. I did participate in a lot of giveaways, but I definitely felt, wow, there's a lot of people who can really just keep spending this money on these dolls. And is that your impression? Is that your impression of me now? Like, do you think that? Now that I've been in it for a while, and I know myself and my, you know how I coordinate purchasing, I can tell you, it's a little tricky to change her in this molded seat versus on a flat surface, that's for sure. But we can do it. And just so you know, I am never pulling and really almost not rubbing on her at all. Try to do everything with a very light touch. I am not wealthy. Although, you know, all of that's subjective, right? If you're wealthy, or, you know, what is wealthy? What's a lot of money? That's going to vary from person to person. The impression or the idea. I think a lot of it is what do you consider a viable or a reasonable thing to spend money on? I think that changes for people. I think that us collectors can start to change where we allocate money, what, you know, reprioritize, I guess, our spending. We're going to tuck her arms inside and then come through. She looks swaddled. Look at that sweet little girl. All right. Yeah, I think that the idea of being willing to reallocate money that we would spend elsewhere or save elsewhere, I think that definitely happens. It's kind of like back in the day, whatever the day is, in past society and in some other countries still, you know, the average amount that we would allocate to our food budget was about 30% of our income, versus today, the average American amount is something like, I think 17%. It could be less, but I'm going to say be conservative on that decrease and say 17%. So now when you look at buying, you know, organic food, healthy food, and the increased expense, you know, having to go up in the amount of money that's set aside for the food budget, that's a tougher pill to swallow, and it can seem crazy, but when you look at it from the perspective of that used to be a much higher priority, or, you know, used to be a bigger budget allocation, you know, it changes that a little bit, that viewpoint, I guess. I think it's very easy to, oh, she could just stay like this and I would be thrilled. Sorry about your hair, Mama. A little half dress with her belly poking out, just so cute. I'll tell you that I've had to do some very creative finagling, some negotiating here in the home, some trades to fill in the gaps on money, and of course I've had to sell dolls, and that's definitely something that I've mentioned before. You know, you purchase a doll, and then, you know, you save up a little bit, and then you have that doll plus the extra money you've saved up, and it's sort of almost like a fun little savings account in the dolls that you end up selling. That kind of happens. I don't know that it's usually planned by a lot of us, but we discover that method. But I've definitely sold dolls that I didn't expect to sell. I've definitely sold dolls that I would have loved to have kept. But choices are made on what you would rather have. And so that's part of how it's made possible. I've had payment plans. I have payment plans currently. That's another thing. So if you have the impression that I've got thousands of dollars set aside that I'm just drawing on a savings account, that's not the case for me. There's another cool element. I'm going to come up here for a minute and look at her. Look at this girl. I'm going to have to take some pictures here. All right, sorry, I just took like 10 pictures. There's another cool element here that I have talked about before too, that is a little bit woo-woo for some people, I guess would be a good term. A little bit not real of a concept for some people, and that's fine. I really actually don't have like proof. I can just talk experientially. I'm going to tell a story that I may have told before, but it's something real life for me. I have these stones. They're called Yaming, and they are fluorite crystals. The natural ones occur in caves in China. And the story is that they are ancient stones that in the past they used to only be accessible to, like royalty, They absorb the light or the rays from the light, and then, as other types of fluorite do as well, they glow. They glow in the dark. And these stones exist in primarily green, blue, and purple, although I know that there are others. And apparently, a lot of the historical literature that was kept secret on the knowledge and the understanding of these stones was destroyed intentionally. And so now, this book of knowledge is being recreated, rebuilt. People in my circle who were getting these stones were sharing our experiences. These pants are a little bit tight. Hang on. And new books were being written about Yaming. The first one that I bought, and I did buy it on a payment plan, luckily, because my friend was selling them from his professor that was studying them. So he had access to these incredible stones. I paid $700 for it. I was broke, you guys. I was a traveling hippie. I was touring the country, working at seminars, teaching energy work, and this girl. And then I eventually got a second stone, and that stone was like $1,100. Still broke. another payment plan. And I paid it regularly. And of course, when you're working with a friend, I think there's more incentive to make sure that you're on point with your payments because, you know, like, that's your word that you give to your friend and their butt's on the line. I won't go too into the experience of the stones and why people wanted them and why they were so special too much, but they were sort of energy boosters and cleansing stones, and it really is a very cool experience. If you believe in crystals and study mineral magic, they call it at all, you know, quartz and turquoise and rose quartz and many, 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 many other stones, you know, the idea is that there's different qualities to the stones that help to boost or amplify certain things in you, and they're used for personal development. And whether you are a new ager, you know, or in my opinion, anything, whatever your belief is, it doesn't necessarily negate that because this is creation. And I think there's all kinds of magic in creation. So anyway, at one point, my friend had said to me, like, imagine that these are fake. Imagine that these are just like, you know, random rocks from, you know, and that there's nothing special and we're paying, you know, hundreds and thousands of dollars for these stones that are, you know, actually like nothing like what we're told that they are. And like immediately my answer hit me. One, even if it's a placebo effect, it doesn't really matter. Just like with healing, you know, whether the medication or whatever it is that you're using actually is doing what they say it does, or it's a placebo effect. If you're receiving benefits and healing, like who cares, right? What a placebo effect, I think, obviously, you know, they say it's in your mind. Yeah, well, clearly that thing is serving as a tool for you to place the responsibility onto an outside thing that's allowing you to unlock some sort of capability that you contain within. Does that make sense? In other words, you have the power to generate whatever the benefit is. If it's not coming from an outside pharmaceutical or whatever, you have the power, or you know, for some people, maybe this makes more sense, you are allowing the healing power of God, whatever is resonating with you, however you best understand the universe, okay? The world, creation. That this thing is allowing you to access this healing power through believing it's coming from this outside tool. So there's that. And the second thing that I noticed that I thought was a benefit was that it took my understanding of what I was able to create financially in terms of abundance to a new level. I went from being really, really feeling like there's no way possible to owning 2 of those stones. They expanded, because of the motivation of it, my ability to attract funds to make things happen. Does that make sense? It seems like it does. She's scrumptious. Yeah, so I was able to somehow afford these very expensive items that I would not be able to afford because I believed that I could make it happen, and I trusted, and the resources showed up. I had to get to a point of thinking there's no way I could figure it out, and then the answers came. And it happened, and that's sort of how this hobby has gone, opportunities, and is still going for me, right? I'm still working things out. There's an idea that if you hold on too tightly whether it's to the trying to figure out how, or to being, you know, really, really tight with your money, focusing strictly on saving. That if you imagine like a channel, not a channel like a TV channel, but a channel like an open space, and you imagine, you know, energy, in this case financial energy, flowing through that channel. If you stop it up, you tighten the flow and you restrict yourself on what you're able to receive. There's all kinds of things that people do too for like practices to help this process along, like going out and pretending that you're spending $100 over and over and over again. You don't actually buy the things, but you select as many $100 things as you put $100 in your pocket, and you go to the mall and you practice picking out as many $100 items as you could, and you practice buying them in your mind, and it's supposed to help draw abundance to you and all of that. You know, of course, for any of that stuff to work, it's not a parlor trick. I believe it. You have to like be in it, believe it, that kind of thing. But anyway, this whole collecting hobby has been an exercise in that, and being able to achieve things. And when I say achieve things, I mean achieve things that are fun, you know, for fun, that are strictly for joy, that just feed my soul in a way that I feel is very important. It's not changing the world, but it is boosting me and helping to support feeding my inner self in a way that then helps me to be a better person. Anyway, yeah, so, but like, I wonder, you know, what's your impression? Do you have the impression that people who afford these dolls just have an unending source of resources? What's your experience been in expanding your beliefs and what you can collect? Just curious. All right, so I think that my favorite part was having her just in the onesie. So I'm sure before this outfit totally goes away, she'll find herself back down in there. And thank you for joining me in this very tricky experience of changing her in this swing. I think that it went all right. And also being off at this odd angle so that you can see her. That was very interesting. But here's Miss Sparrow. She is pretty in pink today. She's getting ready for New Year's, her first New Year's. We thank you for coming by and visiting and for watching my channel. I look forward to reading your comments. And if you're not subscribed, I definitely invite you to do that. Hopefully I'll keep coming up with some topics that are worth listening to in the coming year. And we'll see, we'll probably play with the live features and see if I can come up with a live stream that would be fun to join in on. If you have any ideas that you'd like to hear about or, you know, partake in, definitely let me know. But otherwise, we appreciate all of you. Hope everybody's having a lovely day. Sending out a lot of love. And until next time, everybody, take care. We love you. Bye for now.